The Social Shift with Josie Ngipandwe is a podcast platform that allows for every opinion to matter. However, views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Social Shift podcast and team. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and it officially marks the final installment of our mini-series titled The Social Shift with Josie Ngipandwe. Now, we've had a myriad of guests over the past 5 weeks. We've discussed everything from political parties to traditional leaders to education to whether it is or not the youth can take reins of leadership in this country. And today is no different. First and foremost, like we always start, I have to say thank you to Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Foundation for all of the amazing works they do in order to capacitate youth to take ownership of the national conversation and to make sure that we steer ourselves into a direction of leadership, but also a direction of control of the narratives that affect us on a regular basis. The Konrad Adenauer Stiftung is a German international political foundation with more than 100 offices worldwide. The KAS Namibia and Angola office, based in Windhoek, works to promote democracy, the rule of law, human rights, and political participation. Through educational initiatives and socio-political dialogue, it supports good governance and the strengthening of civic responsibility. KAS's work aims to foster freedom, justice, and sustainable development in Namibia and beyond. I'm back, and this time we are discussing whether or not Namibia's democracy is just for the elites. Joining me in studio is, of course, none other than Bastina. I almost like bust down Tatiana. So, Basten, welcome back. You were here a couple of weeks ago in our first episode, actually, and it was a wonderful episode. And you've seen the comments, and there's been a lot of engagement. And so now we're shifting gears and we're having another conversation. Is Namibia's democracy just for elite? But first, before we begin, what is your understanding of democracy? And then when we say elites, who are these people?
Okay, it's a pleasure to be back, Josie. Mm-hmm. Nice to see you all again, or for you to see me again.
Yeah.
So, democracy, right? I would say democracy is basically having the ability to choose who your leaders are. So for me, that is basically, in short, what democracy is. And then just having a voice. So in terms of the elite, I think the elite is who we make them out to be.
Okay.
We give them the power. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe in elites. I believe in, we've got one nation, and in this nation we are all equal. Mm-hmm. But obviously it turns out some people are more equal than others.
It's what I always say. This is a saying that goes, everybody is important, but some people are more important than other people. When we talk about, for instance, access, just in the country, and I want us to approach this conversation from the perspective of that young 19-year-old unemployed boy from a single mother household, in a household where the income is maybe less than $5,000 a month. What they have access to in terms of their voice, in terms of the weight of their opinion, do we as a country respect it the same way as we would Basten, who went to Windhoek Gymnasium and is driving a Range Rover at the age of 19?
Namibia, just to be precise.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so there is absolutely no way in any economy where the voice of the person who is below the economical line, that voice is not powerful. So, and that is why people come up with petitions where a lot of the voiceless people have to come together to create one strong, powerful voice. Now, there is a difference between someone who has access to the leaders and someone that they will look up to, because obviously some people fund these political campaigns. So one person that is connected to not the elite, because they will be the elite, that's connected to whatever institution or body that people are trying to talk to. It's much easier for this person to walk in and give their point of view, and it can be taken up and it will be discussed in parliament, where people can mobilize and they can create petitions and still not be listened to. So,
but is that fair though? Is that fair, especially if we are focusing on the understanding of what democracy is? Are we saying that as a country it is fair for for a voice because of my geographical location, because of my socioeconomic standard or socioeconomic setting, my voice then loses credibility because of something I cannot control. That is most probably a result of how the democracy is functioning at the
Yes.
moment.
And also very important is democracy usually is based on the type of economy that you have. Because, are we a capitalist country? Are we a socialist economy? What exactly are we? Because I don't think in Namibia we really know what type of economy we are running. So we have a lot of private sector that has a lot of say in government.
Yeah.
And we have government institutions that are competing with their own citizens, whether it be it in business or, so I think we first need to really define what Namibia is so that we know where we are heading.
How do you think that the concept of elitism influences how it is, particularly young men and women, how they shape their own personal identity, firstly as an individual, but also then the identity of us as a collective, as Namibians? Because every country is supposed to have a national identity, right?
Yeah.
But when you have those compartmentalizations, it sort of brings a divide, the rich and the poor, the educated and the illiterate. And those divides sort of gnaw away at the national identity. The concept of elitism, how does it affect how we see one another, but also then how ultimately we treat one another?
I would like to go back to school.
Yeah.
Okay. A child who goes to a government school and a child who goes to a private school, already when they grow up in life, there's already a shift in power there. The other one has access to more opportunities, has access to funding, has access to rich friends who have rich parents, people who have their own businesses already when they come out of school.
Yeah.
As opposed to the child in public school who really has to do the most.
You are just a number.
Yeah, you are just a number.
Yeah.
You need to really, to get out of that poverty, you need to really do so much. And at the moment, the Namibian economy, the Namibian setup does not really advantage that child in any God-given way, whether it's in studying, whether it's in future opportunities, whether it's free education. So, the divide becomes even higher because the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and there is no system where you get these people to a middle ground.
Yes, and level the playing field.
Yes. So I'm not saying that the rich should, lose their money or whatever.
Of course.
But I'm just saying that there should be some form of empowerment where the poor man, the child on the street, can say that I one day will become this person and I will run this business or I will do this thing and I will put in the work and I can get there. Because I can assure you today, you can put in as much work as you want and you will never get there. So I think that is the problem that we have. Not that the rich are getting richer, it's the poor are getting poorer. So the rich can get rich. That's fine. They have the access to the money. But we need the poor people to then also, get some form of assistance or incentives. Because if I have a dream, Martin Luther had a dream. If I have a dream, can I reach this dream? And the answer is almost always, if you are from a poor background, no.
No. And that's sad because already that means that the confidence of the general average Namibian who doesn't have that privilege is sort of set at a low standard and we just accept that as the norm, right?
And the problem is that is where our politics starts going wrong.
Yeah.
Because if I want to reach there, now I need to join politics.
Yeah.
But I'm not joining politics to be the voice of the poor. I'm joining politics to get myself to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So when we already join politics, we already join it for the wrong reasons. So there's no way that you can fix a decay from the moment we gained independence to fix a decay of 30, 35 years.
That's difficult.
It is very difficult.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of intention, number one. And this is where some people will argue that the elites who so happen to be captains of industry, who so happen to run the country and the resources, don't have an incentive to level the playing field because then that cripples their percentage of the pie, even though they already have more.
If we all have access to certain offices, then it doesn't become special anymore.
Yeah.
So why would I wanna share my power and why would I want someone else to have a piece of the pie? And the problem in Namibia is we don't want to share the pie. But the pie is big enough for everybody.
So there's an element of selfishness and greed also that makes And that leads me to the next question that makes our democracy seem like this wonderful ideal but very difficult to become a reality. A lot of the opinions I've read on social media when doing research for this topic is that on paper, our democracy is beautiful. We have a beautiful constitution that says everybody is entitled to all of these wonderful things. You are all equal. You are all children of God. But when we look at the implementation of what it is the constitution says we are entitled to, we see that there is a disparity. And that's why sometimes people feel that, it's the elites that are catered for by the democracy more than the general public. Let's take a look at how it is. Just as a body, sometimes government exercises engagement with communities. I want to make an example of the Independence Day celebrations, for instance, or Kasinga Day celebration. So any celebration like a national celebration, there's usually a white tent. And those nice tents with a carpet and the couches and chairs for the elites. And then the general public, who are the people who are expected to go and vote? Who are the people who are expected to keep the culture of consumerism going? Because remember, it's not the elites that buy most of the breads in the shop. It is us, the general public. We are made to stand in the sun. They go eat at the buffet. We are given a bread with a vorshiki. Remember what I said in the first episode with the vorshiki? And the vorsh is usually just showing at the end of the bread. Inside, when you open it, there is nothing. But we are being told, vote, because this country is yours. What is the issue with that? Why is that problematic?
I think but in the first series when we did this, afterwards I had a discussion with the cameraman and with the equipment team, and we came to a consensus that it's a matter of, I don't know how to phrase it anymore because it's been so long. It's fine, I'll get to it. But the concept of, it was a concept of separation of power. So we were saying that you've got, for instance, you run a nightclub, bad example, but you run a nightclub, and in this nightclub, you've got a VIP section, and then you've got a general section. And I told them that there is no club in Namibia that has ever existed that has stayed open for long enough with that sort of, that sort of setup.
Yeah.
Because people want to mix with other people.
Yes.
How do I get the opportunities if I'm not mingling with the people that have the opportunities? So now you separate us, and I'm now in this club where I feel, I'm really nothing, You see the bottles going in the next room, and you guys are here with your beers, and it's just like, it doesn't work because people don't want to feel like that. So if it doesn't work in this bad example, how will it work on a national level? Because I cannot constantly be made to feel like I am nothing.
Yeah.
And then every time it's elections, you want to...
you are something. Then you are everything.
Then you want to put jam in my mouth. Yeah. Then I am everything to you, So you cannot only need me, or you cannot use me when you feel it is okay for you.
Yeah.
And then forget me the rest of the campaign, the rest of the 4-5 years, and your next time you forget I exist. But when it's time for me to vote for you, yes. And then we call it democracy, and it's not really democracy. And it's one thing that I also talk about other political parties is, at the moment, I think me as a neutral voter. Apolitical person. I'm a very neutral person. I'm a person who votes on who can deliver what I need economically.
Yeah.
And the only reason I don't vote for other parties, I'm not going to say the party I vote for because maybe it's obvious.
Well, we can tell.
It's maybe obvious.
Yeah.
But if you guys cannot sort out the infighting within your own parties, how do I trust you to run this country? So I'm voting the lesser evil. And that is a problem of our democracy. We are forced to vote the lesser evil and not the greater good. So I'm like voting this party because I'm just like, there is no one else. And then you start up a new party, and all of you have 15 new parties who are all fighting the same thing, and none of you come together and just say, what if we just had 3 parties in Namibia that then can compete with these guys, so that then there is actual democracy. People have a choice of saying, okay, this might work. Okay, if they don't work and they don't deliver, next elections we vote these guys. Yeah. So I feel we are not. We don't have options. And as long as we don't have options, even if we go vote, I do not call that democracy.
Yeah. Because there's always one that's above the rest. And even in terms of population, they have that advantage. So We don't really have a choice.
I mean, if our leaders can, on a podium on a national level, say the things that they say without shame and make us feel like, so,
I'm just thinking back to the time we were called Fiona, and I still can't breathe. But
when you're telling us we have all the money, who gives you this money? Who put you in power?
Mara, maybe the people really have all the money. And
they do.
And that brings me to the next question. If all of this is functioning under the ambit of it's a democracy, and you guys are allowed to choose your leaders and you have a say and your opinion matters, but when we go to the grassroots level, for instance, and we look at how policies are implemented, how laws are made. I want to give an example of the Stock Theft Act and how publicly it was perceived to have been enacted very quickly because of the amount of cattle certain elites owned and how they were being stolen and so forth. So that law was enacted allegedly in order to protect the elites' cattle, right? But then we have, for instance, the red line issue that has been going on for so long, where if the red line, most people argue if the red line were to be dismantled, it would give an opportunity for the northern Namibians to basically sell their meat products across Namibia and encouraging entrepreneurship and farming and. What are we saying about the priorities of laws and policies by government? Does it seem to you like most of the laws are garnered towards protecting the interests of the elite as opposed to the general public, or not?
Everyone is trying to protect their piece of the pie.
Yeah.
If, for instance, if you open up the red line, there's enough competition in the market for meat that the money that I was making from selling cattle becomes probably a third now. So this means that my commercial farm basically loses a lot of value if we open up the red line. So as someone who, before I became an entrepreneur, I once upon a time worked for Midco in the north as well. So I do understand why the red line is there. What I don't understand is why there are not new solutions coming forth as to how do we get past and beyond this point of you just can't bring meat into the south. Something should happen. And I also don't feel like the red line is in the right place, because the biggest issue with the red line, not the biggest issue, but the biggest reason it's there is to protect the foot and mouth disease, which is mostly caused by buffaloes, which are much deeper in the north.
I've never seen one in my life.
Yeah, okay. But now buffaloes carry a lot of disease, and the cattle that graze in those areas, they pick up these diseases. So the meat becomes unsellable. Foot and mouth disease in itself is not a disease where you can't eat the meat or whatever. It's just because of all this European standards and what and animal cruelty and and it's amazing how we got more empathy for animals than for other human beings.
Absolutely.
It is amazing that I would say, no, a cow cannot suffer like this and be sold into a market. But you are forcing someone else who cannot make a living to not have a living, and you keep pushing them down. So
and then telling them still to become an entrepreneur and fend for themselves, but you limit the manner in which it is they can fend for themselves and provide for their families.
And guys, also just to be honest, how many of us can be entrepreneurs?
That's also
how many of us have the strive to just continue failing until you make it? And I engage a lot of people in power, and I always say, you guys always invite entrepreneurs to decision-making, boardrooms and whatever. You cannot invite people who don't know how to create business, who don't know how to create industry. People who have no employees, but they have companies that have millions. Do you understand? Who are your millions serving? Because the whole concept of tenders was, to empower the people who otherwise could not create business or, make it in life. It was to empower those people, but it was for a set time so that they could set up industries. So
that could continue functioning beyond the tender
period, and hire more people beyond the tender period. Now we get tenders and I go buy a Range Rover. I get a tender and I go buy myself a farm. And then next tender that comes out, I'm trying to win it again, and I will win it again because now I have the money, to consult the other elites and the other policymakers and the decision makers, and we create nothing. So the tender system in Namibia has failed. It will keep failing until we put things in place. So to say, fine, if you win this $5 billion tender or whatever, we expect you to come when you are tendering. We expect a 5-year business plan of how will this money help the Namibian economy.
Yes.
If you don't have a specific plan and you do not put it in power, we blacklist you. And not just the company, you as a person, we blacklist you.
Not just sending me to the naughty corner in the entrepreneurship space. Let's talk about the revolving door of leadership. A lot of people are under the impression that a lot of positions of leadership are reserved for the same people. You'll find this person today is the MD of Midco, tomorrow is the CEO of MVA Fund, next week they're the educational director for the Ministry of Education. It's almost as if there's a revolving door where only a certain group of people get to access a certain level of leadership. The rest of us are still told, go to school, get education, but it's almost as if we have to wait for that group of elite people to die out before any of us stand a chance. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is that I would understand that, these people get 5-year contracts, right? So I would understand if you were absolutely brilliant in the position where you were, and then we give you another 5 years, or we say, you know what, we actually feel we need you maybe at NQA. We feel you can make a difference there. And I will understand someone like that gets moved around, because you can't also just limit me to being employed
to the same place
for 5 years, and then what do I do also for 5 years? So we also have to look at it from both sides. But my opinion is, why are you putting someone in another top office when they have done nothing in the office where they were? Yes. So how in the private sector we let you go. If you are not performing, if you are not reaching your KPIs, you are gone. You go look for another job, whether you start as a junior again or whatever. But you need, in the private sector, you need to walk your way to be where you are, and you will be deserving of it. Where I feel in the public sector, you just need to know somebody.
Yeah. And your surname counts,
your
father is, where you come from. And that then again takes me back to the original question that we're asking in today's program. Is democracy really just for the elites? For instance, let's look at the way in which it is we engage the general citizenry in terms of service provision. The treatment elites will get at Katutura Hospital is not the treatment that a woman selling fat cake at Soweto Market will get at the same hospital with the same nurses with the same problem. Why do we have that discrepancy? I think it ties down to also Namibians, we are obsessed with titles.
Yes.
And power.
I had a friend who applied for a job.
Yeah.
He had an option of 2 jobs. So he could stay where he was for a higher title and less money.
Yeah.
Or he can go to the new job that he was offered that has more money and a lesser title. The guy chose the title. Because for some reason titles matter. Where I'm the exact opposite. I say I will take the position that will describe me as a cleaner. If I am earning the money I need to earn, I don't care. Because my title, my kids will never inherit my title. What do I care what you call me? If the money is in my bank account that I'm leaving for my children, that is all I care about. You can call me the cleaner of the company. I don't care. Even if I'm doing the MD's job and you call me the cleaner, it's fine. I was getting the MD salary. So titles are just titles. Yes, they get you into certain offices, but people know who you are. A leader is born. It's not created. If, for instance, a good example, I have been in the renewable energy space for 15, 20 years. My kids, if they have to come into the renewable energy space, my name alone can get them somewhere.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yes, because I've worked for it.
Yeah.
But for someone who's just been given, it is an unfair advantage towards the people that actually put in the work.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe we could do a bit better with how it is we do treat the general citizenry? I'll make a classic example of just how arrests happen, for instance. The amount of dignity that is used to arrest a general citizenry versus an elite. You can see there's a bit of a difference there. And is that not a bit hypocritical of us then as a country that in the constitution says all Namibians are equal before the government of Namibia?
Well, I tell you now, anything on paper always sounds good.
Yeah.
We are all equal in the eyes of the law. We are all equal in the eyes of the Lord. And you will always find people who feel that they are more. The what you call the superior complex. It's called the superior complex.
Yeah.
So you find people that have a superior complex in every aspect of life. And the worst part is not those people, because those people you can ignore if you want to. We give them the power.
Yes.
So you can ignore these people if you want to. The problem is us, the inferior complex people that look down on each other. Because I'm like, why would the police officer tell me what? That guy that ends with how much?
Do you know who I am?
And then the police officer is like, you are not going to kick person A, but you will kick person B when you're arresting them, because of the title that these people have. I know I might get in trouble. No, this person has the power to sue me. Just because I don't have the money to sue you doesn't mean you can treat me like a low-class citizen.
Yes, and that's what democracy says. Democracy says we value everyone equally, but how some governmental entities treat and respond to the general citizen that doesn't have that level of power, that is not part of the elite group, is basically what gives us the idea that perhaps Namibians aren't all equal in real life as we are on paper.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about some of the things that have been happening in this country.
Yeah.
I recently read the Sable View thing that annoyed me to the core. It's a pensioner who spent their money and they are not getting what they need, the justice that they need to get in order for them to continue living a respectable life. And you know what? It doesn't matter whether I have 100 million or whether I have 50,000 in my bank account. My dignity as a human being counts.
Yes.
And as long as we start to not respect other people for just being people, then we are creating a society and a construct that's going to be very toxic and that's going to be very dangerous for anyone. And that's the environment we are leaving our kids in. We are not going to be here forever. So you must always think that every decision I make today, every person I look down on, every decision I don't make, my kids will have to live in a world that I have created for them. So what type of world, what type of environment are you creating for your kids? Because I remember in the first episode I said, your kids are raised by the community. Your kids are raised and they are shaped by the environment they are in. So now when we create a decay, how do I put it, a social decay, this social decay is how our kids will grow up.
Yeah.
And if you do not work hard today to make sure that your kids are where they need to be in life, and you live them in this type of world that you have helped create, then you're in trouble.
And they will unfortunately bear the brunt of your decisions.
And the worst part is, things are generational. That generation won't make it better. They will continue to the next generation, and the decay will just keep getting worse and worse. And most people will say, yeah, but I won't be there. And especially the people that have never really worked hard for anything, that has always been given to them, they feel like, yeah, but my kids will be fine. But you have not really been operating in a legal space where you're doing things right.
Yeah.
So who says that you will keep the money that you have now? Who says this money will carry your kids anyway? Who says it won't end with the next generation? So we should always think about how are my actions, and how is the perception of society that I'm leaving behind, how will it sustain my future generations? Because even in the Bible, it says the wise think about their children's children.
Yeah. Basten, I want to play the devil's advocate very quickly.
So used to you playing that, Joseph.
Power is one of those things that can be addictive. We see the manner in which, and I'm going to make an example of just a group of guys. The guy with the most money is usually the grote, the bossa, and he can turn everybody else into an ice boy. You also see how other young men are willing to trip over each other just to get closer to Munene, right? The same with the elite group in the country. Do you think that it forces everybody else that is considered not to be a part of the elite to become desperate in the things that they do in order to just try and get up there and join, because it is perceived to be, sort of the best position to be in as a Namibian citizen?
Well, I think that also relates to the decay that I'm talking about. If we all had opportunity, we will not be tripping over somebody. We will not be, because now what we have done is, because we are suffering, we are creating an idol. We are idolizing the people who have the riches. And we don't necessarily always know what these people have done to get these riches. And it's not always legal, it's not always right, it's not always in a way that will make you sleep well at night.
Yes.
In fact, some people don't even sleep at night. So I feel like we should always look at, how what can I learn from this person? Because if this person is just rich and you cannot learn anything from them, if you are not, these people are not sharing the opportunities, they are not mentoring you on how to be better, what are you doing following this type of person? I was also in that type of world where I used to want to chill with the guys that have the money so I can learn from them.
Yeah.
It took me a year to be like, I am not doing this because I'm not learning anything. I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just in these circles, drinking the bottles, looking cool. But what am I doing for my pocket? Nothing. What are these guys doing for my pocket? Nothing. Because they are not doing business the right way.
Yeah.
Because people who do business the right way, the young people who come to me and talk to me and say, no, I want to do this. I was like, okay, so the first step, you do ABC. You try this, you do that. Do not give up. You will fail. You motivate the people. And, if I have an extra 500, I'll be like, let me help you start your company. These guys never do that for you. They will never, because they have this thing of, I need to be the only one.
Yeah, and I need a nice boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if I empower you, then nobody will run around for my things anymore.
And I keep saying, you must be very embarrassed. If you are the richest and the only richest person in your friends, you must be very embarrassed. If you are the richest and the only rich person in your family, you must be very embarrassed. You must be ashamed of yourself to be the only person in any circle of yours that has money.
In terms of accessibility, let's say for instance for legal recourse, if someone is having a legal issue and they need accessibility, do you think that the constitution and the way in which it is government function makes it easy for the average Namibian to be able to access just basic legal expertise to assist with their issues? Or is it more a thing of, look, the richer you are, the more money you have, the more expensive the lawyer, you can get away with anything?
Look, lawyers are very expensive people. Guys, lawyers are very expensive people.
Yeah.
So as we've got public attorneys that, you get, or legal counselors that get, when you apply for the legal aid that you get. But I'm not saying they are not good at what they do, but they are overworked. These people do not have time to really focus just on your case. They will sometimes you get a plea deal where you are not even guilty, where they're like, you know what, just take the plea deal, take the fine, or take a year sentence, and you're out, as opposed to us going to court and you lose this case and you are there for 20. And I think we also see this in American movies and series and what. So if we have an overworked public system, whether it's in medical, whether it's in law, the service will never be there.
Yeah.
So I will never, even if I have a lawyer, a state lawyer, I might never have a free trial. And we call it, it's a free trial. But is it really free if my lawyer has 5 cases in 1 week and he can't really prepare for any one of them?
Yeah.
Do you understand? So you're setting me up for jail. If you give me a public lawyer that's overworked, you are setting me up for jail. Even if I'm innocent, for this guy to prove that I'm innocent, he has to go through hoops, which he doesn't have the resources to, and the government doesn't give him these resources either.
Yeah.
So,
and what about accessibility to education, and how government chooses to prioritize education based on the geographical area? The attention given to provision of schools and ECD centers, early childhood development centers and so forth in the urban areas does not match the effort, or this is what is being, perceived, does not match the effort that government has on providing educational services for kids in rural areas. I mean, it's 2025. 35 years after independence, or 34, considering this is the 35th, and there are still kids being taught in schools under 3. But in Windhoek, there is no such thing. Why is that problematic? And do you think that government can do a bit better? Because education is a basic right, right? Human dignity being preserved is a basic right. The dignity of a child cannot be protected if I'm being taught under a 3.
You know what, Josina? I feel that's a very good one, actually. And I always think about, if you are a government, you should run your government on, sometimes you should choose the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
It is not about as a government, you cannot think about the investment you're going to get out of building a school in eastern or east of Rundu, because there's only 80 children.
Yeah.
So because the population is not enough, you are not putting a school there because you feel it will be a waste. How will a school be a waste? Do you understand when I'm saying the opportunity cost? What is the best foregone cost of not building the school there? You have 80 kids being taught under a 3. You have parents that don't have confidence to take their kids to school. So now you are counting the 80, but you only have the 80 because the other 500, their parents feel, what's the point of taking my child to a school, sitting under a tree? I can't afford books. I can't afford lunch. My kids have to walk long distances. There's no school uniform. So you are judging a situation based on what you see on the ground, and that is not always what is on the ground, because you do not do the investigations that are needed. First, find out how many kids are in that region. Then you look at how many kids are in school. And then you ask yourself, why is the 5,000 not in school? And it's not because the population is in there. The north, there is enough in every region. There is enough people. So you should look at, if I put a school here, I can guarantee you in the next 2 years, if you have the right resources in that school will be too small. Then you will need to build another school. And that's what you need to keep doing. Just put something. Nobody is saying build a 5-star hotel. I mean, you can't even build a 5-star. In fact, you can't even build a 2-star hospital in this Namibia.
5-star hotel.
Have we ever built a hospital in Namibia? Or did we just
building one in Havana?
Oh,
we are.
After how many years are we building? We can think of one hospital being built.
The hospital is coming, eh?
Yeah, but if you cannot safeguard life, how can we expect a government that cannot safeguard life to safeguard education?
Yeah, true. That is a very true. Do you think that in terms of just how it is we also encourage young people to join the market and contribute to the economy in terms of employability, that it's a fair for all approach by government? For instance, the issue of apprenticeship, for instance, the issue of bursaries and scholarships being offered, the issue of funding, for instance, to study certain programs. Are we fairly giving opportunity to all Namibians? And of course, NASFAF is a good example of how, the government has tried to sort of give an opportunity to most people, but is that enough, or can we do better?
I think we can do much better. And I don't even think it's because the government hasn't tried. I think it's because the people who are in certain positions are not doing their work. I was speaking to a friend the other day and I said, Petrofund, how many millions does Petrofund not get a year? How many students does Petrofund actually send to school? What is happening with the rest of the money? Why is this money not... And you know what? I'll be like, if the money is in the account,
then it's fine.
It's not fine. Why don't you use the money on the people? You are giving the money. You are given the money to fund the students to go study. So if you are not doing that, and most of it, if the money is not even in the bank account, or what is happening? And that goes for a lot of institutions. And every day you hear money has gone missing. No, we can't trace it. There is no way. Even me, that's not a chartered accountant, I will be able to trace money for you to say, it went from that account, and it went there, and it bought what? I don't need to be a forensic scientist. But we keep saying we don't know where the money went. We know where the money went. We don't want to say where the money went.
And that then leads me to this follow-up question, corruption. And that's a big one, because it almost seems as if, on the one hand, we are saying the Constitution says stealing is wrong. And if you steal, you're going to go to jail and you're going to do time, because you cannot steal from the country. You can also not steal from another person. It's wrong. Then we have a basic way of doing things in Namibia where, like you said, someone will head a governmental institution, money of the people. Because remember, when it's a public institution, the money, the resource belongs to the people. It goes missing, and all that happens is, in most cases, we read about it in the newspaper, we tweet about it for 2 days, spread WhatsApp voice notes, and then we forget about it afterwards. Next thing you know, the person was suspended on pay. They either come back quietly and we don't even hear that they came back, or tomorrow you hear there's another institution just to continue stealing again. And it's almost as if the elites keep getting away with perpetuating this culture of corruption, and nothing is done about it. Mara, Basten, if you just go and steal, you will go to jail.
You will become the example.
Yes.
So, you know what I always, in my circles, what I always tell people is like, you know what? I give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And I give to God what is God, obviously, like for me, that's a born again Christian. I know that God will not punish me for driving 80 in a 60 zone. But Caesar will.
Yes.
Do you understand? So the whole point of the Constitution and that is the beginning of any constitution, is based on upholding the Bible, the law. So any constitution, if you look, whether it's the American Constitution, whatever constitution you look at, it is based on the Bible, where God gives our leaders and the governments the right to uphold the law.
Yeah.
So your law cannot be based on what you feel is right for you in the moment.
Yeah.
Because the law has been written and it will always be the same and it will never change, that we must respect each other. We must respect life. We must love each other. We must do the right things right. So it doesn't matter. Even if you are not gonna believe in the Constitution, then at least believe in the Bible. If you're not gonna believe in the Bible, the Constitution is there to uphold the Bible, so at least believe in that. But if you're gonna break the laws anyway, that is what I was talking about, that if your house doesn't have a specific, what did I say the last time? If your house doesn't have a belief in anything, if you don't have what your house stands for, then, and that's not just on a personal level, even on a national. If we do not know what our house stands for, then what are we actually doing?
And anything can go.
Yeah. How do you solve a situation when you don't have a standard for it? Because now we are just like, so you can just steal and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Do you get this thing?
And the people are driving cars, and we even know that car is our money that they stole, but nothing is being done about it. But in the same breath, Operation Kalahari was beating people for just breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide in the streets. So that element of unfairness and inequality still exists. And for a country that prides itself on democracy, for a country that prides itself on a constitution that abides to the Human Rights Charter, it's embarrassing.
It's extremely embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at people that are voting for you that are drinking water with algae.
Yes.
And you are saying that you are the government for the people. You cannot be a government of anyone if your people are drinking contaminated water. And I always say, we saw Etosha burning now. We have had independence for 35 years.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that we still have ministers that believe dolphins can live on land.
Yes.
It's a joke.
The zebra.
The zebra.
Yeah, the zebra dolphin.
But my point is just, for 34, 35 years now, I have never in the history of Namibia heard of disaster risk management plan. I've never heard us being prepared for floods. Never heard us being prepared for drought.
That's why our potholes are being fixed every 3 to 6 months.
I've never heard us being prepared for even wildfires.
Yeah.
Namibia is a dry country. We are one of the driest countries in the world. And we do not have equipment or the technology to put out a fire in a national park. It's embarrassing, guys. And we keep saying, no, the government is working. I've been in platforms where I've seen, especially this new government now that we have, that they are trying to put things in place and they're trying to fix certain things. But, it's never too little too late.
Yeah.
But I think...
But they also inherited a lot of damage that they have to undo. And unfortunately, they're the current phase right now. And what they need to prioritize, in my opinion at least, is put everyone on an equal footing, because that's also what will show government the true potential of the country. If you place everyone on a level field, then government is able to see what can Kunene region offer us in terms of human capital, in terms of contributing to the national development goals of the country. What can Erongo, what can Commerce, as opposed to just, Basten, I will go study medicine in China under a scholarship because Basten is the director of NASPAF. And then the kids in the regions who pass with 50 points, a child that you see, this child, despite their circumstances, they studied really hard. Because you have the wrong surname, you cannot get your foot in the door. And as a country, we cannot function that way. Our systems will never properly work and serve the Namibian people if they continue functioning that way. Basten, my closing question for you before we round off. Do you feel like the concept of elitism and how we have that disparity of how we acknowledge and respect the value of human beings is taking away from the culture of Ubuntu upon which all of our cultures are based on, and then ultimately making it easier for us to not have a national identity as a people? Because it's been mentioned in quite a lot of the programs that we've done over the past 6 weeks that we don't have a national identity, and I think it's because elke man for himself and God for ons almal. And it's high time that we come together and create that national identity. But how do we do that if we don't have a basic set of principles and values that we abide to, and also respect for every human life, whether you are an albino, whether you only have one leg and you are disabled, whether you live in Komasdal or Kleine Kupe or Nonoike.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Josie. When you get sworn in as a president, what do you put your hand on?
A Bible.
Okay. And in this Bible that you are swearing on, you are saying that I am running a Christian state, right? And you are saying that this country will be governed according to the laws of God. And you say you love God, but you cannot say you love God and you hate your neighbor, you hate the other person. So if you are not going to take care of the people that you swore to lead by the word, then you are failing. Because you cannot say you love God and you don't love other people. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
God is love, So for me, it's a matter of that national identity that we swear by when we come into office should be the identity of the country.
Yes.
And the fact that we go away from that as soon as we are in our offices, then that's the social decay that I started talking about when we started doing this. And this social decay was running already for 35 years, where if things are done a certain way for way too long, it's very hard to move away from this toxic traits that we have of doing things the wrong way.
And undoing the culture,
Yes,
the toxic
undoing
culture.
it, yeah. So now for 35 years, it will take us, and I know people keep saying Namibia is a young economy, it's a young country. A 35-year-old is not a young person anymore.
No.
You cannot
I just
have
turned
the
35.
you cannot have the excuse of
I
a
can feel it in
14-year-old.
my knees.
You cannot say I didn't know. At your age, you cannot say I don't know. You cannot say no, but this is not you no longer have
There's no
excuses
excuse.
at 35 years old. So if we can grow up, and we are forced to grow up very early in this country, we are forced to grow up, we are forced to take care of our parents, we are forced to do things that a child should not be doing at that certain age. So if you look at the rural areas where children really have to be strong, children have to be strong from a very young age. They need to grow up from a very young age. And then you bring these kids to Windhoek, and then you expose them to all this corruption, and we corrupt our own children with the environment and with the society that we've created. And that's why I say we need to start somewhere and just say enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have to vote other political parties, because I currently do not believe there's other political parties that can get it done, because if we really cannot sort out our own houses, how do we sort out a nation? So I don't know where we need to start. Maybe I have a few ideas that I cannot hear.
Might get into trouble.
Might.
But I think you have a point.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the social decay, it also requires for us to go back to the basic principles of humanity.
Yes.
Respect for people, regardless of where it is they come from, what it is they have. Respect a person just because they are a human being.
Yeah.
And the Constitution demands it. And also, making sure that whoever takes a position of power, if you are stepping into politics, if you are stepping into a leadership position, if you are running an institution, your primary mandate should be to serve the people. And it's not just your people. If I'm Basten, I cannot only serve the Rehoboth community block B. I must serve
Here's the
everybody.
other thing. If I don't have a SWAPO membership card, does it mean that I can't go run NQA? Why do I need to be from a specific political party to get a certain position if I am the best man for the job?
For the job, yeah. And so we need to start removing those titles and sort of seeing and appreciating people for who it is they are and what it is they can offer. And that's what sort of takes away from elitism, where we say, let go of the word elitism. Basten is just a human being with a lot of money. But I'm also still a human being.
Also a human being.
With a bit of money. So, in closing, and this is just, as a motivator, because we see that divide. It's them versus us a lot of the time. And that elitism is really eating away at national identity, but also in the way in which we deprive Namibia of the potential of the human resource for those who are unconsidered as a part of the elite. What would your word of advice be, just especially the public office bearers, who are in a position of influence, who are in a position to provide a service? Their approach should be to the average Namibian, regardless of where they come from.
Yeah. So the thing is, you in a public office, you are working for the people. Your salary comes from that overtext individual that you are not taking care of.
Me. I'm
That
overtext.
person.
Yeah.
You text this person on their salary, you text them on their pension, you text them every time they walk into a shop. In fact, every time they breathe, they are paying tax.
Yeah.
Just in this Windhoek, I don't know about the rest of Namibia, maybe it's cheaper. Just an ordinary normal citizen in this Windhoek can't survive on less than $100 a day. There are people who don't even earn that. You know, so it's very difficult. I mean, you earn what, $3,000 in a month. You must pay for taxi. Your child must go to school. You must eat. You must pay rent from 3,000. I don't even, if you give me 3,000 now, I'm even confused. What do I do with 3,000? But somebody lives on that.
On that, yeah.
You know?
And they educate their kids and they do the best that they can. And I think it's important for us to also return the dignity back to the people.
We have to. And that's why I'm saying we need to find our identity, and we need to say, this is how we will fix this economy. This is how we will return our people's dignity. This is how we will do things from now on.
Yes.
And if it is not this way, you are out. If you cannot do it this way, you are out. And let's restore the dignity of the people. Let's create programs that cut the gap between rich and poor. And like I said, I'm not saying take from the rich. I'm just saying give to the poor.
Yeah.
You know, make the playing field equal. Let us compete on an intellectual level or on a hard work level, as opposed to just, I have the whatever surname. Oh no, my father went with who to school? They know each other. No, and there's a way. And this thing of there is a way. And I always say, a lot of us only have a problem with there is a way if it's not us benefiting.
That's what they also say about the corruption. It's only it's considered corruption if you're the one who's not.
Because for me, I mean, if my child gets into a good school because of the work I've put in, I do not feel that's corruption.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I've worked for it. And because blessings are generational, my kids get the benefit thereof. But you must work for it. But just because I have a certain surname and I've always been connected, you know, that is unfair.
Yeah, bypassing systems.
Bypassing systems.
Because, yeah.
Yes. That is unfair.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, if you can bring up your own family, you will. It is in our nature to make sure that those around us and those we love are doing well in life. And that's why I'm saying, if you are the only rich person in your family, you must be ashamed of it.
Yes, there's a problem. Why didn't you take other people with
Why, you know, exactly.
Gashi, I have this one uncle. I'm joking. I'm joking. Basten, thank you so much for coming back again. Really appreciate it. And I think it's important that we have this conversation, because for a very long time, people are always afraid of having conversations surrounding elitism and so forth, because we're afraid to step on people's toes. But we have to start talking about these things, because we can no longer pretend they don't exist, because they affect the moral fabric of the society that we live in. They also affect our ability to access services, access opportunities. And it's high time that we started having one united voice as young people regarding our stance. We are saying we don't want favoritism. We don't want elitism. We want a country that celebrates and encourages every general person.
I'm very comfortable talking about certain things because I do not know how it feels like to eat government money. I've built a business that does not rely on state funds, you know? So even if you cut me off, it doesn't affect my life.
I'm definitely bringing you back because you don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our Social Shift podcast mini series. We've covered a lot of topics. A very big thank you to all of our guests: Basten Johannes, Bomba Shiweda, we've got Patrick Sam, Michael Amushelelo, Denver Kisting, Shernis Bush, Taimi Leka Mupanda, Helena Ngaifiwa, Lina Ndengu, and again, Basten Tuilika Johannes. Thank you to all of our guests. Thank you for believing in the podcast. Thank you to the team. Yay! You guys did an amazing job, and most importantly, none of this would have been possible without Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Foundation. Of course, if there are any other topics you guys want us to cover in the next mini-series, please do drop your suggestions in the comment section and keep the conversation going. Whether you agree with Basten or disagree with Basten, he'll be waiting for your opinions, because guess what? He types faster than he talks, mind you. So he will still keep the conversation going. Also, remember, if you are an entity and you would like to sponsor this good work that we are doing for even more mini-series covering many more topics such as mental health for men and financial literacy and so forth, hit me up. Bell may net or may no matter, and we can have a conversation about working on yet another project. But this signals the end of the Social Shift with Josie Pandwa. Until next time, thank you very much for joining me, and bye-bye.